A mysterious survivor crashes near Pluto, claiming to be Thanos' hidden son. Superman brings him to Earth, unaware of the universe-shifting confession to come. The son reveals a second gauntlet, not to destroy, but to rewrite all of existence. In a shocking twist, he says, "I carry Kryptonian blood, you and I are brothers." What begins as a rescue becomes a cosmic war, and Superman must choose, fight his brother or lose the universe. The stars above Metropolis blinked like scattered embers, glowing peacefully across the black sky, until the silence cracked. First came a pulse, then another. Not sound, not light. A deep space frequency, sharp and coded in something older than Krypton. Inside the watchtower, alarms blared. LexCorp's satellites shut down. NASA lost contact with 2 probes. Across the galaxy, the pulse kept repeating one message, too distorted for human ears, but crystal clear to one man. Kal-El, come alone. In seconds, Superman launched himself beyond the clouds, slicing through the upper atmosphere like lightning across silk. Wind and fire rolled over his cape as he accelerated toward the far edge of the solar system. The signal led him to a dead moon, orbiting a gas giant past Pluto. He hovered above its cracked, gray surface, eyes glowing red as he scanned below. Buried in the ice was a crashed spacecraft, its hull scorched, its shape familiar. Too familiar. Titan design. Thanos tech. Impossible. Superman dropped down. His boots cracked the surface like thunder. As he approached, a groan echoed from inside the wreck. With a swift motion, he melted the door open and stepped into the dark. And there he saw him, chained at the wrists and neck with black alloy bindings. Skin violet, muscles tight, eyes closed as if meditating inside pain. He looked young, no older than 30, but the energy radiating from him bent the air like heat off fire. Superman stepped closer. "Who are you?" "You already know," the figure replied, slowly opening eyes glowing violet red. "I'm what he left behind." Superman's heart sank. Thanos had a son? The chained man smirked. "Not had. Has. And I didn't come here by accident." Superman's fists clenched subtly. "You're here for Earth?" "No," the figure replied calmly. "I'm here for you." Back on Earth, Superman brought him to the Fortress of Solitude, under extreme surveillance. Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Martian Manhunter joined him remotely via hologram. The alien introduced himself as Kal, not just Thanos' son, his successor, born in a secret sector of space, raised in silence by Thanos' last loyalists, fed stories of balance, of power, of inevitability, and trained to finish what the Mad Titan could not. He wasn't wrong, Kal said quietly, just incomplete. But what chilled Superman wasn't just what Kal said. It was what he didn't say. At night, he stared into the fortress walls. Never blinked. Never slept. His presence bent the temperature around him. Cameras flickered. Crystals dimmed. And then came the confession. Kal stood in front of the fortress holographic Kryptonian archive, staring at an image of Jor-El. "I didn't just come from Thanos. I came from you, Kal-El. At least, part of you." Superman turned slowly. "What do you mean?" Kal stepped forward, his voice steady. "Thanos found remnants of Kryptonian DNA during the fall of Kandor. He believed perfection required more than Titan blood. He believed in evolution. He believed in Krypton." Superman's heart pounded. "You're lying." "Am I?" Kal pulled back his suit's collar. Beneath it, etched into his skin, the unmistakable symbol of House El. He called me his Genesis, the next god. Not destruction, but rewriting. Superman stared in disbelief. Kal walked past him, gazing at the stars outside the fortress dome. He built a second gauntlet, not to wipe out life, to reshape it. Emotions, memory, loyalty, existence itself, redrafted in his image. And he meant to power it with something purer than infinity stones. Kal turned, eyes burning with cosmic fire. He meant to use you. In that moment, everything shattered. The silence, the peace, the certainty. Superman's world tilted, not because of the threat Kal posed, but because he believed him. For the first time in years, Superman felt unsure. The confession echoed inside the fortress of solitude like a war drum. Thanos used Kryptonian DNA. You're his final weapon, and I'm part of it. Kale's words circled like vultures. Superman paced slowly, calculating. An enemy with his biology, his strength, his speed, his mind, and maybe his weakness. Outside, a blizzard howled across the Arctic. Inside, it was colder. Kale stared through the ice-glass ceiling, voice calm, almost soft. He said, I'd never be enough until I beat you. Superman didn't flinch. Then let's skip the speech and get it over with. Kale smirked. No, not yet. You're not ready to hear what else he left behind. Before Superman could react, Kale clapped his hands once. A vibrational shockwave burst from his body, fracturing the crystal floor beneath him. The entire chamber trembled. The fortress AI began failing. Shields flickered. Lights dimmed. Superman launched forward in a blur, fist cocked, eyes glowing. But Kale vanished in a blink of transdimensional phase jump. A boom followed, like thunder underwater. He was gone. Miles away, high above the Earth's magnetosphere, Kale stood alone in orbit, suspended like a phantom. His left palm lit up, a small fragment of the Genesis gauntlet, fused to his skin. He whispered into the vacuum. Initiate Phase 1. Across Earth, the sky turned violet. In Gotham, clouds twisted unnaturally. In Wakanda, storms formed without heat. In Tokyo, entire buildings glitched, like pixels in an unfinished simulation. Kale was already rewriting reality itself. Superman arrived seconds later, heat vision tearing the sky. He crashed into Kale mid-orbit, dragging him through the atmosphere like a comet. They slammed into a desert in Egypt, carving a crater 50 feet deep. Dust rose like smoke from war. Superman stood first, breathing heavy. Kale rose slower, but smiling. That's the part of you I like. That rage. That fear. I don't fear you, Superman growled. But you fear the truth, don't you? Kale whispered. That Krypton wasn't perfect. That your legacy was corrupted before you even knew it. Superman lunged again, this time not to fight, but to restrain. They collided again and again, fists like meteor strikes, voices like thunder. Kale absorbed each blow with unnatural control. He wasn't wild like Zod. He wasn't arrogant like Lex. He was measured, calm, calculated. Worse, he fought like Superman. You can't stop me, Kale said, kneeling in the sand as Superman pressed him down. Because deep down you want to believe me. You feel it. I am part of you. Superman's eyes flared with rage, but he didn't strike. He couldn't. Because he did feel something. A familiar frequency. A pulse. Kryptonian and Titan. Blended. Suddenly, Kale's eyes shifted, glowing not red, but gold. The desert shook. The air bent inward. The Genesis spark activated. Everything froze. Around them, time halted. Lightning bolts froze midair. Birds stopped mid-flight. Even Superman felt his movements slow, like wading through molasses. Kale floated upward, voice calm as ever. I'm not here to kill you, Kal-El. I'm here to awaken you. Reality twisted. Superman blinked, and the desert turned into a memory. His childhood home, Smallville, the Kent farmhouse, but aged, ruined, torn apart by fire and storm. He turned and saw it, Kale, standing with Martha Kent, who now looked terrified. This is what I'll do to your world, Kale said gently. Unless you join me. Stop it, this isn't real. Not yet. But it can be. Superman clenched his fists. His boots dug into soil that wasn't there. He focused, eyes glowing hot white, and snapped the illusion. They were back in the desert. Kale stumbled. Blood on his lip now. He wasn't invincible. Superman walked forward, slow and steady. You want a war? Fine. But I'll fight it my way. Kale's smirk faded. Then let's raise the stakes. With the tap of his gauntlet fragment, Kale opened a rift in the sky, dark, pulsing, and growing fast. Out came Titanian war beasts, reconstructed from void matter. Hundreds. Crawling, flying, stomping. Their eyes glowing the same gold as Kale's. Superman looked up. You brought an army? No, Kale whispered. I became one. And in that moment, Earth tilted toward chaos. Superman launched again, not toward Kale, but into the sky, slamming through beast after beast, punching holes through their cores, using heat vision to incinerate wave after wave. He shouted into his comm, Batman, Diana. Now, it's not just a threat, it's an invasion. No answer. Kale had silence comms. This was his battlefield now. Back in space, Kale hovered just above the Earth's curve, watching. Not angry, not proud, just waiting. He's stronger than I expected, Kale muttered. Good. He tapped his chest, and for the first time, a tear fell. Forgive me, Father. I never wanted to destroy him, but to become like him, I must. The skies above Earth were no longer blue. From every corner of the planet, people looked up and saw the same thing. A golden rift, pulsing like a living wound in the sky. From it poured Kale's beasts, creatures not of flesh, but of Titan-forged memory, twisted from the darkest parts of Thanos' broken soul, and laced with Kryptonian DNA. They flew, crawled, and morphed into different forms midair, adapting to every environment they landed in. Superman was everywhere at once. Or, at least, trying to be. In Shanghai, he vaporized 3 sky creatures with a single breath of white-hot plasma. In Rio, he lifted a collapsing bridge while heat visioning a worm-like beast trying to eat a school bus. In Nairobi, he blinked through a sonic speed dash to redirect an attack on a power grid. But he was burning out. His cape was torn. His face bled. His chest ached. He wasn't losing, but he wasn't winning either. And Kale knew it. From orbit, Kale watched with an unreadable expression. Then, silently, he descended, not to Metropolis, not to the White House, but to Smallville, the Kent farm. A message, a warning, or maybe bait. Superman saw the alert and froze mid-battle. He's in Smallville. He rocketed toward Kansas like a missile made of grief. The farm was quiet. Kale stood in the cornfield, barefoot, looking up at the old windmill. His hands were behind his back, like a soldier in mourning. You came, he said, without turning. This ends now, Superman growled, hovering inches above the ground. Kale didn't move. You ever wonder what it felt like to grow up with no one? No Earth. No warmth. No Kent family to teach me right from wrong. You still had a choice. Kale turned. His face was calm, but his eyes, they were full of pain. No, I had programming. He raised his hand, not in attack, but to project a memory. Suddenly, Superman saw a small boy, caged in red mist, surrounded by Titan warlords. Fed through tubes. Taught to destroy. No love. No touch. Only orders. Superman stepped back, shaken. Why show me this now? Because I'm not here to win, Kal-El. I'm here to make you see the truth. Kale reached into his chest and pulled out the Genesis fragment, glowing violently now. You think strength is saving people one by one, but real strength is changing the system, rewriting the rules. That's not justice, Superman snapped. That's control. Kale closed his eyes. Maybe control is all I ever knew. Then, he crushed the fragment in his palm. A wave of energy erupted across the sky, a rewrite pulse. Every human on Earth froze mid-step. Their eyes flickered gold. Superman screamed, lunging forward to stop him. But Kale caught his fist in midair. Don't worry. It's not permanent. Just a glimpse. Superman looked around. The world slowed again. But this time, it didn't stop. It replayed. He saw Lois Lane, working at the Daily Planet, but now reporting for the Thanos Tribune. He saw Batman smiling, a thing he never does, shaking hands with Lex Luthor. He saw himself, wearing black armor, leading armies, his eyes hollow. Kale whispered in his ear, "This is what peace looks like when no one has a choice." Superman growled, "Then I choose chaos over this." He broke the illusion with a sonic boom, sending shockwaves through the cornfield. Kale flew back, crashing into the old barn. Before he could recover, Superman punched him across the field. Then again, and again, until the last blow sent him deep into the soil. But Kale stood, bloody, shaking, still smiling. "You're stronger than the simulations." Father would have been proud. Don't talk about him. Why not? He's part of both of us. The only difference is, I accepted him. Superman's eyes lit up, brighter than ever. You're wrong. That's not what makes us different. Kale frowned. Then what? Superman flew toward him at full force, wrapped him in a crushing grip, and whispered, I was loved. Then he slammed Kale into the earth, so hard the ground split like glass. Silence. Dust. Kale lay there, defeated. Broken. But not gone. His breathing slowed. His hand opened. Inside it, glowing faintly, the last spark of Genesis. Still active. Still waiting for a choice. The dust hadn't settled. Superman stood above the shattered earth where Kale lay, broken, bruised, buried halfway into a crater carved by raw, righteous fury. But something was wrong. Kale wasn't unconscious. He was smiling, faint, bloodied, but unmistakably calm. His cracked lips moved. You really believe you've won? Superman's fists tightened. I stopped your invasion. Your rewrite pulse failed. You're done. Kale turned his head slowly. His palm opened again. There it was. The final spark of Genesis. Glowing blue now. Weak but alive. You haven't stopped anything, Kale whispered. You just triggered the real plan. Suddenly, the spark ignited. A soft hum filled the air, like thousands of whispers speaking at once. The sky pulsed violet. Every Kryptonian crystal inside the fortress lit up. Superman's chest emblem glowed on its own. He backed up instinctively. What did you do? Kale pulled himself upright. Every movement slow, like a dying star, refusing to collapse. The Genesis spark doesn't obey me anymore. It responds to blood. What are you saying? Kale looked up, not at Superman, but at the sky. It found a new anchor. Someone who's everything I'm not. Someone who resists control. Who rejects domination. He turned his head, eyes glowing gold. It chose you, Kal-El. Superman froze. His breath stopped. The spark floated from Kale's hand and drifted slowly towards Superman's chest. No. Yes, Kale said softly. You are now the key to rewriting everything. Every memory. Every planet. Every timeline. It's inside you. Superman's body shook with invisible force. The spark merged into his chest. His heartbeat spiked. His pupils dilated. And suddenly, he saw it all. Billions of stars. Endless versions of Earth. Alternate Supermen, some evil, some dead, some never born. In one, Zod ruled Metropolis. In another, Lois never existed. In one, Kale was never created. He gasped. I don't want this power. That's exactly why it chose you, Kale replied, collapsing fully. You resist. You love. You hope. I couldn't. But maybe now the universe has a chance. Why are you telling me this? Why give up? Kale stared at the sky, blinking slowly. Because I lied. Superman's eyes narrowed. About what? Kale coughed once, then smiled genuinely for the first time. I was never meant to win. I was meant to test you. Silence. Thanos feared you, Kal-El. He knew one day someone would rise stronger than him, not through violence, but through mercy. Superman knelt beside him, voice low. Then why cause so much destruction? Because destiny doesn't respond to silence, Kale whispered. Sometimes the universe needs a scream. His body began to fade, pixel by pixel, dissolving into golden particles. Superman reached for him, but his hand passed through smoke. Kale's final words echoed. Rewrite it. Or don't. Just don't become him. And then he was gone. No explosion. No beam of light. Just stillness. Superman stood alone in the crater, heart pounding, the weight of an entire cosmos inside his chest. Above, the golden sky slowly returned to blue. Across Earth, time resumed. The war beasts vanished. The rift sealed. And the world remembered nothing. Only Superman remembered everything. He looked to the stars, unsure, shaken, but unbroken. And deep within him, the Genesis spark hummed softly, waiting. The world slept peacefully again. No one remembered the sky turning gold. No one remembered the beasts. No one remembered Kale, except Superman. He stood atop the fortress of solitude, cape fluttering in the Arctic wind, eyes closed. The Genesis spark pulsed quietly in his chest, no longer threatening, but alive, watching, waiting. It wasn't power. It was potential. Rewrite everything, he whispered, or change nothing at all. The temptation clawed at him. What if he could go back? Stop Krypton from exploding. Save his parents. Undo every war. Every death. He could fix everything. But he also remembered Kale's voice. Just don't become him. Superman dropped to his knees. He pounded the snow with both fists, letting out a scream so powerful it shattered an iceberg miles away. The spark glowed brighter, reacting, surging. He steadied his breath. No, not like this. Then came the sound. Not an alarm, not a scream. A ripple. Reality shuddered, slightly off-key, like a page being turned the wrong way. And then he appeared. A figure stepped through a tear in the air, dressed in sleek black, glowing with the faint purple hue of Titan energy, but no longer Kale. This was something worse. You rejected the gift, the figure said, voice echoing. Predictable. Superman stood slowly. Who are you? The next version, the being replied. Kale was version 1. I am version 2. Purged of hesitation. Purged of heart. Superman's eyes narrowed. Thanos had a backup plan. Not Thanos. The spark itself. It wants to fulfill its programming. And you're delaying it. Superman launched forward, punch like a meteor. Clash. The air cracked open from the force. Version 2 didn't move. He caught Superman's punch midair and smiled. You're still holding back. Superman's boots dug into the ice. He headbutted the clone and blasted him with heat vision point blank. The being stumbled, skin briefly melting, revealing circuitry beneath. Not fully organic. Not fully machine. Something new. Superman spun, slamming his opponent through 5 ice walls, finally hurling him into the frozen sea. Silence. Then, the sea exploded upward. Version 2 emerged, flying unharmed, gauntlet glowing. This time, Superman, the universe won't ask. It will take. He raised his hand, ready to strip the spark from Superman's chest. But Kal-El had made his choice. Superman closed his eyes and released the spark. It rose out of his chest like a sun being born, blinding, beautiful, and terrifying. It hovered between them, then split. One half vanished into the stars. The other collapsed into nothing. The sky returned to silence. Version 2 froze, flickering like a corrupted file. What have you done? I set it free, Superman whispered. No one should hold that much power. Not me. Not you. Version 2 screamed, trying to absorb the fading fragments. But the spark was gone. And with it, so was he. His body crumbled like ash. Superman fell to his knees again, exhausted. Human once more. Thunder rolled overhead. Snow returned. Peace, real peace, finally settled over the fortress. Later, back in Metropolis, Lois approached him quietly on the rooftop of the Daily Planet. You look lighter. Superman smiled softly. I was given a chance to rewrite everything. And I chose to remember. He looked toward the stars, knowing Kale's sacrifice would never be known. But he'd remember. And that was enough. The end. A legacy rewritten not by power, but by choice.